this video, I just wanted to show you how to use your CAS to solve a expression in trig when you're given defined values for the angles. So in this case for x, which is the angle in sine, and for y, which is the angle in cos. So x is given to you as a particular range of values, and so is y, and we're asked to find sine of x plus y. So this is really a compound angle formula. Now we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, let's find what x and y are, because they're what we're going to use. And we're going to use a trick that we did in an earlier example, which was to store those values. So first thing, let's solve the first expression. So solve, type in solve, or if you don't want to type in solve, you can push the book, the catalogue, type an S, okay, S for solve, and then you can scroll down and you'll actually find that in your list. The nice thing about doing it this way is if you're looking for example, solve here, and you can't remember what needs to go in it, if you click on solve, you can see it tells you equation and variable, var for variable, so you know that you have to put an equation first and then a variable after. So let's put the equation first. Sine of x equals 0.2, okay, comma x, because we want to solve for x. Now we need to put in this domain here, so I'm going to put such that, which tells us, okay, we have to solve such that, or given that, we're working in this domain. So x has to be greater than or equal to 0, so that's the lower bound, a space, okay, make sure you do a space and then because we now need the upper bound, another space, and the upper bound here is pi on 2. So x has to be greater than or equal to 0, but it also has to be less than or equal to pi on 2. So we're going to put that in, pi on 2, and push enter. Now you can see that we've got a value here for x, inverse sine of 1/5. I'm going to store that as a variable that I can use later on. Now it's a nice idea to actually check var. Click var, see what variables you've stored. I don't have any stored, so that's cool. I can store as anything I want. So I want my answer, okay, to be stored. Now press Control and var, which will use STO with the arrow, that means store. Store as, and whatever letter you want, I'm just going to use A. Store as A. Push enter. Just to check that it worked, just press A and make sure that that comes up. Yep, we've stored this answer. Okay. We're also going to do the same thing with the other expression to find what y is. So cos of y equals negative 0.4. We're solving for y such that, and again we've got range of values, but this time our range of values are for y, not for x. So it has to be greater than or equal to pi. So y needs to be greater than or equal to pi, space and then y also needs to be less than or equal to 3 pi on 2. That's our upper bound. So 3 times pi on 2. Push enter. And you can see again that's stored, that's come up as an exact form for y. Okay, so this time now what we're going to do is take that expression and store it. I'll store this as the variable b, and just make sure that that's worked. Just press B, make sure it's in there. Awesome. So we now have x is A and y is B. So let's find this sine x of y, x plus y. Now what you'll notice, if you put sine of x plus y in, which is A plus B, the way we've done it, you're just going to get this, which is not really helpful to anyone because it's still all compressed together and it hasn't been expanded fully. So what we want to do is actually expand the trig, and anything to do with trig is a command that starts with T for trig. So to find it, let's go into the book here, the catalogue, for all of our different expressions. I'm going to type T for trig, 10, there's some 10, tangent line, Taylor, and what I'm looking for, oops, I think I passed it. I have. There it is. Trig collect and trig expand. Now, the one we're going to do use is trig expand, okay? And you can see if you click on it, it tells you need to put an expression in there. An expression, remember, is an equation without the equal sign, basically. So like this, sine of x plus y is an expression. Cos y equals negative 0.4, that's an equation. It's an expression and an equation. So let's type that in. So I'm going to trig expand. Now let's try that same thing, sine of a plus b, because a is x and b is y, and let's see what we get. Cool. So what you can see there with that expression, that looks like what you would get if you work this out by hand, and it also tells you that in this case your sine of x plus y is actually cos x sine y plus sine x cos y. It even gives you the compound angle formula that it used, and then the exact form with the surd there, which is what you get when you work that out by hand. So a really useful way of using your CAS to expand trig using compound angle formula.